Your ego is the hero of your mind. It's your ally in self-control and confidence. But what if it's also your greatest barrier to growth? And how do you know if it's working for you or against you? Let's dive into the complex, fascinating, and life-shaping world of the ego. So what is the ego anyway? Well, think of it as the CEO of your brain, a stressed-out middle manager trying to keep peace between two extremes. On one side, you've got the ID, the wild hedonistic party animal demanding instant gratification like a toddler with a sugar high. On the other side is the superego, the buzzkill HR department that insists on sticking to the rules and lecturing you about morality. And stuck in the middle, trying to make everyone happy while also keeping you functional in the real world, is the ego. Sigmund Freud, yep, the guy who made talking about your mom in therapy weird, came up with this structural model of the psyche. He saw the ego as the referee between your animal instincts, your inner moral judge, and the outside world. Now, the ego isn't just sitting there doing yoga and sipping green tea, it's a full-time mediator. Its main job is to operate on what Freud called the reality principle, meaning it tries to satisfy your impulses in ways that won't get you arrested or socially exiled. Imagine your ID wants pizza in the middle of a work meeting. The ego's like, cool, we'll get pizza, but let's wait until the meeting's over so we don't look like a maniac inhaling pepperoni slices during a PowerPoint presentation. This balancing act is crucial for self-control and basically not ruining your life. But here's the kicker. The ego isn't perfect. To keep things running smoothly, it uses defense mechanisms, those sneaky little tricks your brain pulls to protect you from anxiety or emotional overload. Ever blame someone else for a mistake you made? That's projection. Forget about a traumatic experience? Classic repression. These unconscious strategies can be lifesavers when things get rough, but if overused, they can seriously mess with your relationships and self-awareness. Now, Freud wasn't the only one obsessed with the ego. Carl Jung, his philosophical frenemy, thought of the ego as the center of consciousness, the part of you that deals with reality. Then there were the humanists, like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow, who made the ego sound a little less like a stressed-out diplomat and more like a personal growth coach. For them, a healthy ego was all about building a strong, authentic sense of self, like upgrading from a jittery intern to the confident CEO of your own life. But what exactly is a healthy ego? It's all about balance. A healthy ego gives you confidence without turning you into a narcissistic nightmare, and humility without making you a self-doubting doormat. It helps you face challenges, make decisions, and own your mistakes without losing your sense of self-worth. On the flip side, an overinflated ego can lead to arrogance and a serious lack of empathy, while a weak ego might leave you indecisive, insecure, and way too dependent on others. And here's the wild part, your ego isn't static. It grows and evolves as you do. Psychologist Erik Erikson, try saying that name 3 times fast, mapped out how the ego changes at different life stages, from learning to trust people as a baby to figuring out who you are during your angsty teenage years. Every experience adds a new layer to your ego, shaping the way you navigate life's challenges. In therapy, the ego is kind of the star of the show. Whether it's through cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps you challenge irrational thoughts, or psychodynamic therapy, which digs into unconscious conflicts, the goal is often to strengthen the ego. A strong ego doesn't mean being egotistical. It means being self-aware, adaptable, and resilient enough to handle life's curveballs without crumbling or throwing a tantrum. But let's clear up a modern misunderstanding. Thanks to pop culture, the word ego has become shorthand for arrogance. You know, like when someone says, wow, his ego can't fit through the door. That's not really what psychologists mean. Your ego isn't some obnoxious villain twirling its mustache. It's just trying to help you survive and thrive in a messy, unpredictable world. So, in the end, the ego is less of a monster and more of a misunderstood genius. It's the behind-the-scenes operator making sure you don't embarrass yourself, ruin your relationships, or eat an entire cake in one sitting. Sure, it's flawed, but it's also essential. Whether you're navigating a tough decision, protecting yourself from emotional pain, or striving for personal growth, the ego is there, working overtime. I'll leave you to discuss in the comments about this. Do you think your ego is working for you or against you? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and I'll catch you soon in another video.